And joining me today, Cathay, raise your hand, show us the book, is Cathay Norris, who's also an accomplished author whose short fiction stories appear in several anthologies. And she hosts the podcast, The Quill and the Quantum, AI and the Art of Writing. And now it's my honor to officially introduce Cathay Reta, the author of Reflections on Adult Literacy.
Hello, everyone.
Cathay
You know me.
Cathay holds a bachelor's degree in music and shared a lifetime of co-ministry with her late husband. She's one of my dearest friends. Our friendship grew from casual dinners to times when we were each other's bosses, roommates, or even road companions when she moved to Indiana. Her work in adult literacy began as a volunteer, and she went on to take on leadership roles at the local, state, and national levels. Her work has been featured in numerous publications and has self-published 3 other books. I'll tell you a little bit about one of them at the end. We crossed paths in the 80s, and just when I was, writing her intro, I started to wonder how my adult literacy journey might have unfolded differently had I worked with her back then. So, without a further ado, Cathay Norris will introduce the book and guide us through the interview.
Cathay, it's a pleasure to introduce Reflections on Adult Literacy this afternoon. This is a powerful collection of short stories that sheds light on the experiences that make adult literacy come alive, including the staff, the volunteers, and of course, the readers. Some of these short stories are bold, some of them are more subtle, but each lives up to the promise to inform and inspire the reader until the last page is turned. Cathay, what I took away from the book is that reading and literacy is not just a tool, but a force to empower the individual and to build the community. Thank you for writing it. And so now we're going to go to the next part of our meeting and interview our author. How does that sound?
Sounds good to me. Thanks, Kathy. So it's Cathay and Cafe.
Yeah, it's funny. One might think of coffee as far as cafe and caffeine. So here is the first question, Cathay. What inspired you to dedicate 4 decades of your life to a career in adult literacy?
I didn't come into it dedicating 4 decades to it. I had just heard my local library program was opening an adult literacy tutoring program, and they were looking for volunteers. And I thought, well, that sounds like fun. I'd like to learn how to teach someone to read. Well, and it was fun, and I enjoyed it. And then I volunteered to become a tutor trainer. And then a year later, I was offered the position of coordinating the program. And all along, what has drawn me is the ability or the opportunity to learn. I keep learning new things one after another. The field is so diverse and has such opportunities. And so I guess I'm kind of just in it till I stop learning. And then you won't see me anymore. But there's constantly one area to another, from managing a program and so much to get into there. And the the field, it offers you a chance to explore your strengths and what interests you and to bring that to the field along with your colleagues. So that's kind of what got me going in it.
Cathay, why did you decide to write Reflections on Adult Literacy as a collection of essays and stories rather than a single narrative?
It didn't start out as a collection like it's ended up. And it was just in my mind that after 40 years, I have all these stories and things, experiences that I think are helpful to people, and I wanted to share them. And thought, well, since I've learned I become a book author, and since I'm working in that realm, I thought, well, I'll put them in a book. And so I threw something together. I sent it out to some first readers, which is a good practice to have people read through it and give you feedback. And then one of my readers, my good friend Chris, types and says, "Can we talk?" I thought, oh, great. What's wrong? And we got on the phone and she asked me, "Who are you writing this for?" I mean, she nailed it. Well, I'm writing it for me, just so I can get this stuff out of my head and out into the world and move on. But she had really nailed it because the other thing is you need to write for your readers. So it's not about me, it's what do they want? What do they need from it? And so I said, okay, then I'm going to do it right. So I brought on board my editor and we worked through it, and she helped me craft it into this form, which is much better than what I initially started with. And through that process, I learned I'm an essay writer. I didn't know what to call myself, but these are just a collection of essays, different stories along the way. And so it's put together in a way you can pick it up and read one. There's 19 chapters. They're short. You can read one anywhere, anytime. You don't have to be sequential in the way it rolls out. And the other thing I learned from my readers is like they like it being short. I thought, oh, maybe I'll add all this and that. And, oh, please don't. People are looking for something they want to read. They want to get into this, but they don't have a lot of time to spend. So it gives them some little short vignettes to read about. So it's been a real learning. There it is again, a chance to learn, a learning process in putting this book out.
Yes, and I think your readers sense your authenticity too in these pages, and that makes it, I think it draws your reader in, at least it did to me. Next question. All of the essays are personal. Is it difficult to share those experiences publicly?
Not anymore. Not at this time. I think, well, what I've learned is the more personal it is, the more it resonates with people and they can connect with it. Because we all tend to think if we have problems or difficulties, we're the only one and we want to hide it. And in fact, I've come from a lifetime of trying to live up to this image of doing everything right, what's proper, and this image that's impossible and it's not authentic. And so that's part of my journey these last few years has been learning just to be myself and to find myself. And it's okay with all the flaws or difficulties. And what I found in my couple earlier books, I was really vulnerable about sharing what's going on within me and emotionally. But I find that's where people come and say, oh, I felt the same way. I didn't know that. And so I'm glad to read that. I felt better about myself. And I think too with adult literacy, I think of the learners that are in our programs that are thinking, I'm the only one, no one understands. I have to hide this because no one's had this experience. But wow, as we know, a lot of people have. And so it's become easier to share. So by the time I've gotten to this one, I'm fine sharing about getting chewed out by the mayor, about getting in trouble, caught doing end run, going to lobby city council when I wasn't supposed to, got caught in that, and even getting fired. When I was doing training for Pasadena Reads back some years ago, and I realized, well, after one of the training workshops, I called Rosalie, the manager there, and asked her, well, how are the new tutors doing? And she said, not one took a student. Oh, that's a clear sign of bad training. And I had been burned out, but wasn't acknowledging it. So I told Rosalie, well, you have to fire me. That's it. And she did. I'm like, yay, good for her. And I referred her to another trainer who was fresh and ready to go and moved on. And it was good for them and good for me. So, I'm okay about sharing things like that now.
And I'm impressed. I can't think of a single situation where I volunteered to be the reduction in force. So ch cheers.
Yeah.
Question number 4. Over your 40 years of experience, what challenges have remained constant in adult literacy programs?
Mm. That's a sad story. And that what's remained constant is the need for the program. When I began in 1984, there was a big push across the country. There was marketing and ads and television and just all these organizations working to highlight adult literacy and the need we have in the country. And there were surveys that showed it's 1 out of 5 adults that needed the services. So when I came on board, along with some of my colleagues here on the call, we're like, we're on a mission. We're going to work ourselves out of a job. We're going to hit this, and pretty soon there won't be a problem with illiteracy in our country. 40 years later, there are now, the most recent studies show 28% of adults are reading in the lowest literacy levels. So it's not gotten better, it's gotten worse. And it's at a time where people don't understand the issue. They don't understand that there are adults who are very sharp and bright and function well, but they can't read and write well, and the need for the program. So we have a lot to do in bringing attention to that. So that's one of the things. I think what else, and tied with that, because it doesn't get the support and acknowledgement it needs, it doesn't get funding to really do the superior programs we could do with more funding. And that means there's a lot of staff turnover because the field is the paid staff that run programs, primarily part-time employment, and there's just no longevity in it. So the staff turnover is really hard. Another reason why I'm really wanted to share these stories with people and get the word out there so that those that are new and coming in can benefit from the experiences of others, because there's a great wealth of knowledge and information throughout the field, but we don't always get a chance to share that with each other. So those are some things that are pretty constant. But also there's, our volunteers. There are champions for literacy that have come in and are really giving and joining in with their learners to make a difference in their communities. So there's a lot of goodness out there too. We just need to get the word out and spread it to more people.
I'm happy to hear that there are a lot of good people out there. Literacy is such a gateway skill. It's just hard to imagine navigating without that ability. So thank you for the work.
Mm-hmm.
That brings us to the final question, which is, what's next for Cathay?
Well, I'm still learning. And actually, my newest passion kind of comes out of and ties in with adult literacy. And that's helping people, supporting them in their journeys to find their mission and stand in who they are. So my new venture is offering vision board training, or also power word training. And I was learning about vision boards 5 years ago and kind of messing around with it. And it's kind of a buzzword and people are doing it, but I thought there's more to it that I'm not seeing. But I've discovered it now. I've had some training and learning about it. And there's actually neuroscience behind how it works. So it's not just putting pictures on a board and saying, oh, I like this, I like that. And there's a real process if people understand it and how to reinforce it. But it starts with them getting to know themselves and their power, and to, from there, develop the confidence to be able to go after their goals. And actually, one thing that's really pushing me on this comes from an adult learner in one of the California Library Literacy Services programs. And I'm going to read a quote from her from the book. She's been so inspiring, and I think she hit it right on. And that's Rasonia Willoughby Bell. And she wrote, or she said, in this focus group where I was with her at one point, oh, I can't see it. She says, literacy success is not just about reading and writing. It's about confidence to take action. It is not a lack of reading that keeps people from changing their lives. It's fear that they cannot do it. That really broke something for me to say, okay, we're working on teaching and reading and writing, but it's more than that, to get in to first help them see that, get the confidence, hey, I can do it. I have this power, this ability. And I think that goes hand in hand, and then that helps to read and write better and to learn better. And as is many things I've learned from adult literacy, It helps all of us. It's not just for adult learners. It's for our tutors, it's for program managers, staff. Everyone benefits from finding their power within. And so one of the workshops I do is a power word workshop to find that and to make that, use it as a beacon to draw your goals and dreams to you. So I kind of see that dovetailing so well with the adult literacy work. So that's how I'm staying in it and where I'm growing and still learning.
Well, thank you, Cathay. We have come to the end of the interview portion of the program, and I'm wondering if we can weigh upon you to read a selection from Reflections on Adult Literacy.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've got one marked here and actually kind of dealing with the same theme. I'll read a portion of it. This is on page 19, if you have the book already. It's called You Can't Empower Anyone. It's an Inside Job. In 1989, I arranged for Lydia, an adult learner, to attend a literacy conference with me. It was her first adult literacy gathering. She was nervous, but settled in quickly enough, especially when she met a couple of women who were also learners. They enjoyed a day of workshops and sharing with others from around the state. That evening, Lydia was heading to the banquet hall when a man stepped up behind her and leaned into her ear. She could smell alcohol on his breath as he did so. Then he startled her with the words, "I didn't know they let illiterates in here." He kept walking. She stood immobile, horrified. Illiterate, a word that had pained her all of her life. Lydia slowly moved on and joined up with the two learners she had met. Diane was a rough and tough, imposing woman, aged and fearless from her years of living out of her car. Jo was not so rough and tough, but she had become confident and could hold her own. Lydia told them what the man had said, and they too were horrified, but not immobilized. "Where is he?" Diane demanded to know. They left the ballroom and retraced Lydia's steps. The man was easy to spot. He had not moved far from where he had spoken his offensive words. The three women approached, and Diane reached him first. "Who told you this woman was illiterate? And what do you think gives you the right to say anything to her?" The other two circled him, backing him against the second floor railing as Diane continued. "She's not illiterate. She's learning to read. She's doing something with her life. When's the last time you did anything productive? When's the last time you did any good?" Stunned, the man begged forgiveness. Maybe he was afraid they'd pick him up and throw him over the rail. The thought likely crossed their minds, but they didn't act on it. They stared him down. They could see that he felt shame. In solidarity, they turned and walked away. They were better than him, stronger, proud. The next day, when Lydia told me about the incident, I was shocked and I felt horrible. I felt responsible because I had invited her to this event and put her in the way of such behavior. I wanted to apologize, but before I could form the words, I noticed her confidence. I saw a strength in her that I had not seen before. That encounter and being able to confront the man empowered her. She was not to be pitied, and most importantly, she did not need me to defend her. And it goes on from there with other stories with Lydia.
Wow, Cathay. Wow. Yeah, I see clapping. I can't hear the
Yeah,
clapping, but I see the clapping. I think that
excellent.
the feeling is unanimous. Just
Mhm.
excellent. Absolutely excellent.
Would you
Yeah,
say
that's
is
the
that
type of
one?
learning we get in this program. There's learning for all of us.
Here,
Yeah,
here.
yeah. Would you say is that one of your favorite stories, or is we have time, or is there another short one that you would love to read? We're getting a lot of
Uh,
chats about, will she read?
Um, yeah, let me find, yeah, they're all favorites. Let me find one.
Good, but that's good to know that they're
Um,
all favorites.
And maybe there are members of the group that can share their own literacy story with the rest of us.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to read from page 37. Our identity is wrapped in our words. Rodolfo Rudy Diaz is one of my heroes. He came to the Commerce Public Library adult literacy program with very low literacy skills and very high thinking skills. His ideas were the artistic expression of an insightful soul. I loved to listen to him reflect on life and share his latest insights. He influenced my life and my literacy programming practices in many ways. One way is that he gave me a greater appreciation of the personal, intimate nature of words that identify us. When I trained new tutors, I always included a segment on the language experience approach. It's an exercise in which a learner tells a story and the tutor writes it down. I would emphasize that the tutor must use the student's words and not change them. This is for a few reasons, but mostly because words are personal. It is powerful to capture a learner's words verbatim, and those words then become the text for reading practice. It is empowering for someone to see their own words in print and then to read them aloud. It is disempowering to change someone's words. It's disempowering to change their expression of their life. Rudy confirmed that for me with a story. Rudy had been in trouble a good part of his life. As a young boy, he was sent to reform school. The warden required him to write a letter to his mother. He was to let her know that he was doing well. Rudy told the warden he couldn't, that he didn't know how to write. So the warden arranged for one of the counselors to help him. The counselor invited Rudy to dictate the letter. He said that he would write the words as Rudy would say them. Easy enough. They sat down together, and the counselor picked up his pen and moved it along on the paper as Rudy spoke. Rudy began with, Oye, jefe, ¿qué hubo? Roughly translated like, hey, boss, what's up? Dear mother, how are you? The counselor wrote. And so it went until they had filled a page, a normal, decent letter. The counselor read it back to Rudy and told him, okay, sign it. No, said Rudy. What do you mean? The counselor asked. Sign the letter. That's not my letter, it's yours. You sign it. 12-year-old Rudy responded. He remained steadfast. He would not sign the letter, even though it put him in trouble with the warden, even though it got him labeled as a troublemaker. He was insubordinate. But those weren't my words, Rudy told me as he relayed the story. The fervor in his voice still carried a trace of indignation. The incident still offended him decades later. I wasn't going to sign that. He shared that he had never spoken with his mother that way, with dear mother. That just did not depict their relationship. He wasn't willing to compromise and pretend that it was okay. I look at that incident and label Rudy as authentic. Rudy is someone with integrity. And so I'll end it there. There's more to it, but I'll let you read it.
Bravo. Thank you, Cathay. Anamaria, I think, where can people find this book if they are interested in exploring the other stories?
Sure. I just posted the link for Amazon on chat. So, and if you do have the book already, what's really helpful is reviews on Amazon, or hopefully you'll grab your book soon and write us a review. Lots of comments here. We're going to open up for questions shortly, but I'm scanning. There was a good question here earlier. From Linda, were these essays written over time? What did you do with them as you wrote them, if they were?
Okay, I've always enjoyed writing and it helps clear my mind. So some of these were written when the incidents happened, even back in the 80s and the 90s. And some I wrote them out more recently as I remembered them and to prepare them for the book. Yeah, so write things down. Journal. Keep track of your life. You never know when you're going to use it.
Yeah, great. So I will suggest if you have questions you want to interact with Cathay, raise your hand and either Kathy, Norris, or I will unmute you or you can unmute yourself when we do that. And there was another question when you were reading the statistics. Are adults defined as 18 years and older? 28% is so high. And that was from Mari Riddle.
It is high. It is, I think the thing is like 16 years and older. And that 28%, those are those operating in the lowest level. If you go up to which, and I'm not good on numbers and statistics, but I think that's reading up to like a fourth grade level. And if you want to look at those reading at a sixth grade or below, that's over half of our adult population. And the original study, I think it's significant that these are adults that speak English, that grew up in this country. That is their native language. It's not immigrants coming in. And so there's two programs that play. There's English as a second language, but there's also basic literacy for English speakers.
Yeah, great. Before I open it for questions, I haven't seen any raised hands. I would like to do a shout out for people who contribute. You were your early readers, and some of you came a little later, but it feels like a reunion. Hi, Mari. Hi, Chris, and Gary's too. Gary Cosman is on the call. But the earlier readers, and she mentioned about how she right? She started writing in for her and how she shift her direction. So Chris, I know you probably didn't hear, she gave you a shout out. So Shauna Brown, Pamela DeGrosa, Juanita Stanley, Mari Riddle, Beatriz Sarmiento, dearly we call Bev, um, and Carrie Scott, and Chris Bozart. Of course, those were the early readers. Okay. And let me see. Mari, you have a question.
Yes. Hi. I'm looking forward to getting the book, Cathay, and reading it. One of the things I mentioned in the chat is, what is your hope for this book and these stories? I mean, outside of informing people about the issue, where do you see this, going? What's your hope for this book?
My biggest hope is that it'll be helpful to coordinators or administrators, people running adult literacy programs, to just have some information that's helpful. It's not stories or type of information that's done so well in workshops or, guides. It's, but, it's learning some things like with advocacy, how that, there's a whole process. If you want the attention of your legislative representative, you can just call their office and it's not going to mean anything. So I have a story about that. You can call two people can call nothing, 3, 4, 5, nothing. But every office has their threshold number. When it hits that, and it's usually like around 10, then it's an issue. Then the call information goes to the representative, to the senator, whoever, and then you might get some action on it. But who knows, things like that. So background stuff like that, I think are helpful for program administrators. But I hope it would also inspire tutors or volunteers, people in general who would get interested in the idea that is maybe given them awareness of the opportunity to make a difference.
If I could comment further, because I think that's excellent, but I also realize that the stories that you read have, in a sense, lessons or experiences that so many people can learn from, right? And can benefit from. I mean, just the idea of Lydia and the confidence building. I mean, that happens across so many, a lot of women who are literate. You know what I mean? What is it that helps you gain confidence, and how important it is for you to sort of face some of those uncomfortable times, because then you can get braver, if you will, and the power of other people coming together to help you do that. So I see if somebody could use this book in a sense in a writing group, in a book club, in a even in a college setting, first time college goers. I mean, just there's, I think, so many lessons there that is beyond the literacy lesson. So
Well, I
let's
really
get it out
appreciate
there.
that. Okay, we'll do it. Thank you, Madi. And Madi is one of my mentors I've learned a lot from, and she's executive director at Central Latino for Literacy. And I did some grant writing for them through some years. And I learned a lot just watching Madi and listening to her speak. And yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, let me see. Are there any other questions, Kathy, in the chat?
I saw a comment from Bev Schwartzberg here. She says, very timely given that the California Library Association's legislative priorities have just been issued. And from Candyland Barron, some people have a hard time expressing their literacy challenges. I wonder if your book will help inspire them to speak up too.
I sure hope so. And that's one of the big challenges. And there is a story about confidentiality. It's a heavy cloak to bear. I tell about tutoring someone myself and hiding in their garage when company would come to the house or someone knock at the door because I couldn't be seen there lest someone find out that person was being tutored by me. I mean, it's such fear. And that's heavy. So I know when people do find out that they're not the only ones, when they connect with other people or hear other people that talk about overcoming, not overcoming, even just learning to read, being part of a community and finding out and sharing that they're okay. Even if their reading skills are low, that they're okay and they're bright and they have a lot of contributions to make. So I think as they would connect with each other, I think that's helpful. If you consider it's more than 1 in 5, now 28% of adults have those fears about not being good enough or not reading well enough to be like their neighbors or others. So someone. I have almost no doubt someone, whether they've told you or not. And so you just talk about it or share with them or, read from the book with the group. It's getting the message to people who need to hear it, but they're afraid. I have one friend, we've been friends, close friends for just over a year. And here I was, an adult literacy coordinator working in the program, and she knew that, but she never said anything till one day we're at a picnic, and she takes my hand and she says, I'm going to tell you something even my closest family members don't know. I don't know how to read. I thought, well, it's taken her a year to tell me. But anyway, she did become part of the program and did learn and do well, but there's such stigma about it, and people are so afraid. So the more you can talk about it in a normal way, the more people hear and say, oh, okay, hey, maybe I'll go look for a program.
You know, there's another comment that is appeared that I think really sums up well what we've been hearing. And it says, it's from Mary Lou Reed, and she says, there's a heartfelt feeling in the way the book is written that will appeal to everyone who has struggled with something in life. I'm not in this field at all, and I loved reading the book. And what I love about that is that, we've moved from the specific to the general, from literacy to all challenges in life.
Mhm.
So, Cathay, you might not have realized it, but you're writing a manual for living life.
I like that. I appreciate that. Thank you.
We'll use that quote, Kathy.
Yeah, that's a good quote. In fact, if you would like to go on over to Amazon and review the book and just write that there, that would be great. That's one way to get the word out. Amazon's got this mystery of their algorithms and how things help, but as people purchase a book, but even more so as they write reviews on it, then it's more likely to come up to the surface where people can see it's available. So shameless plug there. Amazon or Goodreads. So.
Okay. Anyone else? You want to ask her a question directly? You can feel free to unmute yourself. We still have a couple of minutes to talk to her. We're going to end up closing the meeting probably a little early. So if you haven't gotten your drink yet, we're going to toast in a little bit. Grab your favorite drink, wine, coffee, tea. We're going to toast to her in a little bit. But any other
Anamaria, we might want to, can Cathay talk to us about the Power Word workshop that she's going
Sure.
to host?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so I would love to. Like I said, that's the new thing that I'm looking at because I see the power of it when people can latch on to and grab a power word. Actually, I've got mine here. Bold. If any of you've known me for a while, no one would ever say I'm bold.
Yes.
But now, 2026, that's me, bold. And so I'll show you how to grab hold of your words too, also in the Power Word workshop. So there's on my website, we'll drop the link in here. There's a place to register for it. I'm doing my first one, November 20th at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And so I encourage you to come and join me if you can, or let other people know. And again, I think for some people in literacy programs, I see it as a great tool for adult learners, but also for volunteers and programs and staff. So I'm doing the first one. There is a fee, $19.99, but that'll get you a good look at yourself and appreciation for the value and the talents that you have and your power. So,
And what's the date on that one? I just posted the link on the website.
November 20th. That's
November 20th at
Thursday
4
at the same time.
at the same time, 4 o'clock via Zoom. So
Yeah.
you can sign up directly. I put the link in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Do we have any other questions on the chat, Kathy?
I'm looking now. I don't see any other, just lots of really positive comments. This is fantastic.
Hi, Kitty.
This is so exciting to see your faces or your names on screen. It's been a long time that I haven't seen a lot of you. So, I mean, this is just fun. There's another big plus about being involved in adult literacy. It's the people. All the people are so giving and have such heart and willing to share and support one another. And so I really totally appreciate that.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, so we're almost at the end. We're gonna have some closing remarks from Kathy. She mentioned about the vision board, that's new. And just good luck on that endeavor, my friend. You know, I'm one of your biggest champions. So I'm gonna do a final shout out, get your glass, but let me do a shout out for Kathy for another book. I really admire her. And some of you may know that she took an incredible 250-mile pilgrimage on the Camino de Santiago. She did it solo. And that journal became one of her books that is on a second edition. It's Keep Walking and Your Heart Will Catch Up. It's available on ebook now. I'll put it in the chat shortly. But I hope you can explore that inspiring book as well. I
And I
wish
just
I would have
insert
done
that. That one's also on audiobook as well now.
it. Perfect.
And that's the one when I came back from that journey, when I realized I don't have to do all the things I should do. I'm going to be me and follow my own trail. It was a life-changing experience.
Yeah, she's living up to her word, bold. When we first met her, she was quiet. Chris and I were babbling, blah, 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 over dinner, and she rarely talked. And then she's out traveling the world and taking the pilgrimage. It's incredible. No questions. So
No, I
why
don't
don't
see any.
I want to say thank you to everyone who has joined us. We have people from Canada, Ontario, Canada, Delaware, Washington, the state of Washington, Idaho, Kansas, of course, a lot of us in California. But thank you for joining us. Let's get ready to toast. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Success.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Job well done.
Thank you so much, all of you. And I so appreciate